Costco. Okay, there's a total of 17 panels, 8 in this bank, 3 there, 4 there, and 2 over there that block the sun from my window on my bedroom as well. A bunch of them are combined with those MC4 combiners, so I can add a few, 4 more panels to these connectors here, but I have to thicken up the wire. Most of it just goes 2 conductor 14 gauge to a distribution block over there. I'll show you in a sec. Okay, so all those come in here. That 2 conductor to these distribution blocks, which combine it back all to a thicker wire to some real thick 8 gauge. And those come in with some 8 gauge off the MC4 connectors for all these 8 panels. Those 8 panels there are on combiners and then go into 8 gauge as well. They come into the battery box through those distribution blocks. It's like 4 8 gauge to 2 4 gauge. Same with over there. For the other panels, they're in 2 separate banks. One bank goes into this charge controller, which is at 13.3 volts, pulling about 19 amps. Max I can get on this is about 50 if the sun's real bright and on the straight above. This charge controller is at 13.1 and pulling about 11 amps, so I'm pulling about 30 amps at 13 volts, which is a couple 300 watts. I've got this grid tie inverter, which turns on with that circuit breaker. I have this grid tie inverter that turns on with a switch on the other side. It's also the 3000 watt power inverter Pure Sine with the double 0 gauge and a 4 gauge combination kind of thing. I gotta make that wire bigger, but then it all goes 0 gauge and 4 gauge, connecting up all the batteries. They're set up in 2 separate banks. The 2 batteries is for the 12 volt section of my stuff. These 5 is for the 110 volt. There's 3 fans to keep everything vented and cooled down. They just all run off 12 volt power. They're regular computer tower case fans. Then I have the 2 battery chargers, which charge the batteries after I use up a lot of the juice after the sun goes down, and then it recharges at night when the power is actually way cheaper than it is during the middle of the day. Runs inside my apartment with some real thick extension cord and an appliance extension. Then I have a bunch of 12 volt 2 conductor 14 gauge that go into the apartment. As you can see, putting in about 212 watts into the grid. Normally I'll hook up my fridge to the this cable, which is going to the power inverter during the middle of the day when power is more expensive and I got a lot of juice to deal with. The 12 volt one runs a bunch of lights like that one. It runs that ceiling fan, overhead lights over the kitchen, lights over the doorway and in the bedroom, the living room, this one as well. Just kind of started getting those ones. I have ones at my computer desk, which are kind of cheesy, but I got some nicer ones to make them look good. I've got another ceiling fan for myself to keep cooled down in the summer. Most of it runs to bridges like that. This is it varies the speed of the fan. The other switch goes down to some fans that extract the heat off of my computer with that vent dryer. Most of these computer, my TV, my computer monitor, everything all run off 110 all day long. So anyway, that's the system. Let me know if you have any questions.